With that, I'm going to quickly send it to our beautiful caster's desk.
Thank you so much, Dave. So, I'm Keisaya. With me is Maxman. We're heading on to the draft right away. And Olaf, as well as an Caliban. We don't usually see... Actually, recently we've been seeing a lot of Caliban. But with the power of Akali, especially on the side lane, in the Baron lane, we know that, especially if he's able to fast clear and just roam in the map, pickoffs can happen. Just... surely. But Maxman, how about you? What do you say about the draft that we're seeing so far? The first few picks, the priority picks, as well as the Olaf banning here.
I mean, already what I'm seeing for the side of Omega Esports is they're going a completely different route. At least, like, no big assassins. I mean, also, they can't pick Akali. They can't pick Zed anymore. So that's going to be... also, Camille's going to be off the board. So they can't really go for those big dive bursty champions anymore, unfortunately. So that is also something that I think is in the mind of Chakaimook, which is maybe why they might tend to go for a more squishy composition, as they know that, like, there's not going to be those big dive and single out kind of targets remaining for this draft, at least. So Gragas also for first pick. I think that's a good initiator. It's a pretty good character. Monkey time, maybe. Monkey time indeed. Hell yeah, Monkey. Also is Lulu on the overgrowth. That is a wombo combo and a half. If they pull the combo properly, that would be absolutely insane. We saw Nami Wukong do great, and Wukong Lulu is just as strong.
Well, that's massive amount of AoE damage and even the CC that there is present so far in the first 3 picks of Chakaimook. But we cannot discount what currently is in the first few picks of Omega Esports. In terms of protection, in terms of set, there is the Brawl that can do that. Maybe we can talk about the free hitting Misfortune and backline as well. And there's some good zone that might be provided by the Aurelian. He's just going to be pulling off that stars. And this could be a Graves as well as a Misfortune, just free hitting from the backline. So both of the teams so far is starting so good in terms of draft, and seems like they have a lot of free serves in terms of their champion.
I mean, also, like, Misfortune was Brawl. That's another good one, once again, because Brawl counts as Misfortune, so, like, they don't have any too much of an issue. In terms of ADC available for Chakaimook, you got yourself Jinx, you got yourself also Kai'Sa. That would be a really, really strong pickup to go for. So I would like to see something like that potentially happen. I think that would be good. But Draven would be apparently the pickup they want to play with, which Draven and also Lulu, they work pretty good. It's not like the best combo overall, because you want to, like, still in terms of attack speed that Lulu gives you, it's still pretty dominant. But, like, here Draven is mainly focused around the early to mid game power spike when he does so much damn damage. And I think that's going to be them hoping to bully out of lane the Misfortune and also the Brawl. But unfortunately, because of the bullet time, and also because especially of the ricochet coming out from the Misfortune, I don't believe that Draven will be able to be as dominant as you might expect in that laning phase, as Malphite gets followed up with that. Once again, ultimate of Malphite, wild growth coming out from the Lulu, and the ultimate form also a beast on the Wukong, and also you got the Gragas ultimate. That's some big CC coming out on their side. They do actually pick Singed for Omega Esports. I'm interested to see how that's going to work, because I don't think Singed is going to be great in this kind of draft.
Actually, we've seen the Singe quite a few times in the tournament. Very cheesy pick so far whenever he is put in the Baron lane, but can be very useful as well in team fights. But before we touch on more onto Singe, I want to go back to Draven matchup as well as the Misfortune matchup on the duo lane. So, well, in terms of damage, I think Draven can still catch all that. Maybe not, he doesn't have that fast clearing of minion waves compared to what the Misfortune can do. But then again, if the members of Team Chakaimook is able to empower or capitalize on the passive that this Draven has, the League of Draven, then this is going to be a Draven that is going to be snowballing from one point to another, especially if he is able to secure a kill in the duo lane. But that's not going to be an easy task. Again, there is a Brawl that can just go block all the damage that may come up from this Draven. At the same time, we talk about 2 range heroes as well on the side of Omega Esports, the Graves as well as the Misfortune, that might give a hard time on the Draven. But it will just boil down to execution and how they will be reacting onto the plans, onto trying to empower that Draven on the side of Chakaimook. But then again, Singe, you mentioned you're not too sure how this will go, but I guess he can answer back something, especially in the team fight, especially when he has the items already.
I'm not even thinking team fights or things. I'm thinking when I'm looking at the composition of Omega Esports, Omega. I said that really weird. Omega Esports. Omega. I don't know. I said that. English is a weird language. I am looking at the side of Omega Esports, and I'm thinking their potential to single out a target, though, is pretty strong, especially because of that Sage, the possibility to just yeet someone right behind him and then follow up with the CC of that Brawl potentially, and the big burst coming out from the rest of the team is pretty damn consistent. So I think that if the macro, the rotations, and the shot calling for the side of Omega Esports on point, abuse their composition and especially put that Singed in a really, really strong spot. But I think that if they fall behind with their composition, it's just going to be a steamroll, because if you fall behind against a Malphite, Wukong composition, paired up also with a Lulu with a Wild Growth, they will not give you any room to make your way back into the game. They will not allow any room for mistakes. So I am a little bit skeptical here to see how the start of the game is going to go for Omega Esports. If they start steamrolling and like get a really good lead, I'm going to be like, okay, they can win. But if they lose like the first, I would say 5 to 6 minutes, 7 minutes tops, I don't think they can take the dub with this kind of draft.
We'll see about that though. But for the meantime, both teams doing good, doing okay in terms of blazing their vision, their wards. This is what we usually see in competitive right now. They in the first flow of the minion waves, it's usually fine that the support will just be giving that away totally to their ADCs and just allow the ADC to grab all the goals. But for the meantime, looks like there is an invade being planned by Smart Omega right now. Gonna go for that blue buff onto the jungle camp of Team Chakaimook. I'm not so sure though if they will be will try to go for an answer by going for a counter invade in case it's gonna be late, I think.
I mean, Lulu's gonna put some deep vision. Dash just make sure that they can like keep track of the enemy jungler. But like this is exactly what I was mentioning in the draft. Their composition is heavily reliant around, can we get ahead? Even if it's just barely in CS, can we get an extra tier 2 item, tier 3 item? Can we get that just extra little bit of power level in the team fights to remain more relevant and just barely take the edge in the engages? So I think that that was a good call for them to go for the invade, to kind of just take that gold away from the jungler and get a pretty good spot. But talking about the jungler, the Wukong did go indeed for the counter invade. And that's just going to make things a little bit more even Steven for the teams. But he is a little bit behind in rotation pacing, which could delay that gank pretty heavily.
Yes, for sure. But for the meantime, on the top side, we can see somehow CKM's having a hard time dealing with the Singe, throwing all the poison on the floor and just putting a lot of pressure on that one. And given that the jungler on the side of Team Chakaimook is not present on the top side, definitely CKM must be very careful of the potential gank that might happen from Impressive. But Impressive not really gonna go for that one. Instead, they're gonna be going for that I wouldn't really call calm start because they went for it. But for the meantime, in the middle lane, forced to flash away is it Gragas in the middle lane. I wasn't able to see actually if there was an ignite that was used on him because. Yes. There was, so that's the reason why he actually was forced to flash and just go for the honey fruit. That speaks why. Wow, what a start though.
Yeah, I mean, also you got to keep in mind that here you're dealing with a Aurelion Sol that, like, in terms of zoning, is the best character to keep people at a distance, especially now that he has just barely hit level 5. So Gragas now, because of that level 5, is really going to be able to win it unless he gets like a great engage with his ultimate, but that is a pretty hard one to hit. So I'm going to keep my eyes out for him all around. Jakey, they're going to go for the push once again up against the Singed in the top side of the map. And he does go for the little bump backwards, just going to get a little bit intoxicated. Feels good. Feels just like my solo queue chat in game. And now things are going like very slowly. Not too much of a gold lead. Nothing too impressive for the time being. But I'm waiting for the Drake. I think the Drake is going to be the first deciding factor to see what kind of playstyle these two teams are deciding to adapt to.
That is definitely when. Now, it basically will tell us that it will just boil down now on how they're going to be executing that play, potentially in the Dragon Pit. But for the meantime, they're going to be poking each other out in here in the river bed. Shiba in here will just try to back away, but they have to reset. They have to reset in preparation for the dragon that is about to come up 20 seconds from now. And I'm not too sure, because we can also take a look at what the Baron laners are doing as of the moment, because whoever will be able to shove the minion waves faster in heal will be able to respond faster and maybe on a 5-man fight up against that Baron. But for the meantime, we talk about the fight. They're gonna go for the pokes in here in the Baron pit as of the one backup incoming from the Aurelion Sol as well. We can see the stars not really connecting onto anyone, and they go for a reset.
Oh, my, a little bit of fine mid there on Singe. Going to be taking a 1v2. Nice bump coming up from the Olaf, but the ultimate of Malphite does miss as the flash is forced away. Drake is now going to be on the menu. It is a Mountain Drake, which is going to be slowly kicked off, but the leash is going to be left unfinished as no one is going to commit to the Drake just yet, as both teams aren't really fully prepared for it, but it seemed like Monkey is going to go for the Dragon. Godzilla is going to die.
Looks like they're gonna go for this one as of yet. We can see that the ultimates are currently up as of the moment. Ooh. Yes, they can go for that. Invade Stars really connecting so well onto the members of Team CKM. Oh, the Monkey got killed by that Graves, and this is Omega Esports capitalizing that position. The range is just working so well, and of course the zone capability of the Aurelion Sol did work so well at the same time in making sure that they can go for that play in the Dragon.
Big miscommunication happening for the set of Chakaimook. I think we all just saw Shiba playing with Wukong that he went way too deep. The intention was good. If the team was ready to follow up, that would have been indeed a really strong play, and you're going to be seeing it happen actually on the replay that's currently unfolding. Wukong decides to go for the flash with the ultimate, gets a great double knockup, but unfortunately his team is getting pushed backwards, and because of that, their forces are getting stretched really thinly, and they're just not ready to take that fight head on. The fight is then won by the side of Omega Esports, and because of the bow of that fight, they do get the Drake, so now the lead is starting to slowly but surely go their way, and they cannot give away this lead. I mentioned it earlier in the draft. I'm going to say it again. They got a very steamroll heavy composition. If they lose a fight and they fall behind, things are going to get really tricky for them to maybe try and set up a comeback, because this is not a very comeback possible comp.
Yes, for sure. And now we can see the comparison, the itemization in here. For our ADCs, definitely there's a bit of advantage on the Misfortune. It's going to be dangerous, especially in here, that they're starting off the Rift Herald fight right now. Will there be a steal once more? Yes, there will be a steal again. The bull time, and again, the damage. The Graves will fall down, but then again, they got the Rift Herald for themselves. Backup incoming from Arising here, coming from the back line, just targeting all the backliners as well from the side of Team Chakaimook. Not gonna be chasing that Lulu anymore, and 2 kills. I mean, a lot of you went down already, and we can even go for a push in here onto the top side. Not yet done, because CKM in here in a dangerous spot to actually go for a defensive play up top, but they got a good flow of minion waves. It's just that the Braum maybe will try to just prepare, not really deciding on to back up, but instead they're really gonna go for a push in this top turret.
And Aurelion saw that fight arrive just like Shanks and Marineford Arc in One Piece, just like stop, and they all stopped and they all left, and they're like, okay, we're gonna take a fight later on. Thank you very much. We appreciate your contribution. And they remove the fight to later on. But so far, we are still seeing the steamroll, the snowball composition getting set up. Nice pushback from Singe in the mid lane. They will be normally able to find it. Redemption comes on through, but that is going to be all stand done. And he does die to the Redemption, actually, which does rarely happen, but still really good kill. Once again, coming the other side as a Monkey, taking so much damage. Like, he is so squishy right now, Kasaya. He is struggling.
Yeah, definitely struggling. I think the problem in here from the side of Chakaimook, they keep on starting the objectives super early. Like, okay, for as long as their objectives, we are positioned, let's start it over. Instead of just going for a pick-up fight. But for the meantime in here, we can see the members of Team Omega Esports just going for the fight. 2 members down right away on the side of Team Chakaimook, and they're gonna go for a push in the middle lane. They still got a Rift Herald on their side. They might be able to take 2 turrets while they still have the Rift Herald and a good flow of minion waves as well. Wow, massive amounts of damage. They have to do 2 range damage dealers. Stand aside being pulled up by that Draven, but the Draven can't do anything about it. There's not much enough damage, and just like what we saw a while ago, there's already a lead that is currently being seen on the side of Omega Esports. Not to mention even the itemization for both the marksman on the side of Omega Esports.
I mean, I'm scared for Chakaimook. Mainly reason why is because Draven is a character that scales really badly if behind, like compared to, for example, a Kai'Sa or a Jinx that has the potential of like doing a good comeback later on in the game. When you have a Draven that is not in a good spot, and his early game is where normally he is at his best, when he's the strongest, and if he's not able to get ahead, and currently he's like in 0-1-2, which is a pretty bad score overall, he is going to be completely irrelevant in his composition. So I think that now you're not really going to have to rely around Draven. You want to mainly try and rely around those CC combos that we have yet to see. Well, Jake is once more going to be on the menu. It's going to be an Ocean Drake. They're going to take it. They did it just redemption up the... They just redemption the Drake. Okay, fair enough. You know what? That's going to be another easy pickup as the rest of the team of Chakaimook are nowhere to be seen to try and contest it.
Now, this is the time that Chakaimook is calming down. Not really going to go or, you know, position themselves early on objectives. Looks like they're going to go for a counter play. But for the meantime, they're going to go dive onto our Ryzen here onto the top side. Will secure the kill? Yes, they will. JLC onto the backup though, but I don't think he can do anything to defend the tier 2 turret up top. Meantime, we can see another split push work being done in here by Impressive in the bottom lane part of the map right now. Looks like anytime soon tier 2 turret is going to fall down as well. Going back on the top side fight is currently happening. CKM super low, so CKM members are super low. Bullet time connecting onto the targets. Securing 2. Was that 3 this time? Oh, went on bomb, but that's totally fine. They're taking a lot of objectives in here. Both the bot lane, they bought the bot lane part of the map as well as the top side. Gragas, what can he do? Maybe he can just try to toss away the members of Team Omega Esports, but he's taking a lot of damage from that Graves. I don't think they will be able to finish this as of yet because the death timers are still low.
I thought for a second the entire team was going to go back by teleport and just jump in to finish. I'm like, oh, maybe, but like, no, it was actually just one teleport from the Aurelion.
Yeah,
so,
man, that happened to me in rank game. That happened.
That's horrible. that must feel really bad. But like, also going back around that fight, like that was a great push, a great play from Chakaimook. Like they found a peek onto the Aurelion Sol that was out of position, that was solo. They find a really good fight. They got 2 turrets too, which gave them once again access to the enemy base if the comeback doesn't fold in their favor. But then they're just like, we're going to go and slowly move away. That was the issue, the issue though. Slowly move away. And they got caught up so easily to reality. They got slapped in the face with the Galaxy right afterwards. So they just had no reason to overstay their welcome. And by doing so, they just threw that potential comeback opportunity out the window because they were just a little bit too slow to move away.
Man, 3 full items already onto the Graves. Meantime, the Wukong only has 2 as of the moment, even completing his enchantment for the boots. But for the meantime, will this be a 4-team fight? They got caught off guard by a Rising here. A lot of damage coming from Brilliant Soul, and of course, though, the Malphite is gonna go on to a dive onto the members of Team Omega Esports, but Bullet Time just connecting so well up against the members of CKM. And ooh, where are you going, my friend Draven? I think that's the wrong path. That's not where your base is, and this is a wipeout, and I think this is gonna be it. An ace on to Team Omega Esports, ending the game in around 12-minute game time.
That is one damn quick game. Exactly. I said in the draft, and
is this gonna be it? Am I saying it too early?
It's fine. They take the dub. They take the dub. It's pretty obvious it's going to be happening. But like we talked about in the draft, like you're going to be seeing the gold lead 2 coming on through in the stats. Like you're going to see it to be entirely red, entire way, as they were just from the very early stages, they were already in a really strong lead. So like I'm just not surprised because they were just ahead at the start. And at that point, their comp was just heavily reliant around snowballing. And because of the kind of composition that's not great for comeback potential, their scaling is not great, especially that Draven. They were not able to make the combos happen. Like, especially like we were talking about combos in a draft phase. Like, they rarely took a fight with like the entire combos being like, no, Wukong engaged, followed up was also the Malphite, or the other way around. Then the overgrowth on top of the Wukong to double down on the CC, then get the double stack of the ultimate of the Wukong. We've just not seen that happen, really. And I think that they had a strong draft potential, but they just didn't play it to its full potential. And that's what really caused their demise in that game.
And I mean, they drafted a Draven on their composition. I mean, if you want a Draven on your comp, then make sure you empower it early on. And they failed to do so. So they did not even cap. This is a 0-kill Draven. So there's not even a point of giving him some gold from his passive League of Draven. So that didn't happen at all. And I think CKM failed to just basically use or capitalize the Draven in their composition. But, you know, I think this is an okay Gragas, Lulu, and a Wukong in one comp. It's just, I don't know. It could have been better if it's, I don't know, Jinx or I don't know.